welcome to another episode of Sigmar and Son. I think I might have just started a little early, but anyway, welcome to Sigmar and Son. This is episode 6 for May 20th, 2018. And today we're really going to go over mostly a lot of the news that has come out this week about the new version. There's just so much coming out. It's tough to keep track, so we're just going to kind of give our thoughts on that. If we have time, we're going to go into what you might consider doing while waiting for the new version. And we know that a lot of people, or at least us, I don't want to start a new army and then find out that the rules have changed. So I'm entertaining myself with some other things, so we might share that. Mostly I'm entertaining myself with trying to figure out the new rules. So going into the news, this week's releases, which came out yesterday, were the Eels, and I'm going to try and bring this over here. And those are the Morsar's Guard,
the Achillean Guard, and then you got the Shark, which is the Achillean Alopex.
Yeah, and so I know the Shark rules are really not the greatest in the world, right? But yeah,
they're not the best, but it's a sweet looking model.
So such a good looking model. And so next week for pre-order, I didn't see a whole lot for the pre-order, and it's probably because of the new edition. But the Warhammer Underworlds, the Shadespire warbands, are coming out in what they're calling push-to-fit format. And that's so basically you can buy the Shadespire ones, and they said all the ones that are out up to now are
so out. Every single one is going to be coming out, not just the Khorne and Sigmar ones.
Right. So the 6 warbands up to the Skaven and everything. That's what they were saying. They're going to be coming out, and they're going to come out. The price was not announced, but it's going to be lower than their counterparts, so basically this will be just the models only without the cards. And so like I know the Skaven were what, $30, so this will be cheaper than
I think you'll see them around probably the $20 range,
which is
easy to build kits around $20 to $30 generally.
Yeah, so that's pretty incredible price point, really, if you're talking about
just picking up some Age of Sigmar units.
5 models, and the heroes are typically, $20 or $20 to $30, right?
Mm-hmm.
They said that these could be used for painting inspired versions for Shadespire, and I kind of laugh about that. Now, I mean, some people are insane painters and everything, so maybe they would do that, but yeah, I just don't have time for that. So I guess kind of going into Shadespire and the news. First thing up on the news was that there are some new Shadespire beta rules that they were talking about. And if you guys don't like Shadespire, let me know. I just kind of figure it's so close to Age of Sigmar, we ought to be talking about that. But there are new rules for the Cataphrane relics that they're coming out with for their tournaments and people playing. And they're basically just saying that if you're going to use those Cataphrane relics, they're going to cost 2 glory points. So
now up from the 1, yeah.
Up from the 1. So they were saying, I guess those decks were sort of dominating. So it'll be just kind of interesting to see there.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
Yeah, I really don't know how that affects the game. I honestly haven't played a whole lot of it.
Right, we haven't played a whole lot, but it's yeah.
But I assume if they're nerfing it, had a substantial partake in the competitive meta.
Right. So Cataphrane relics are the ones that basically they build on themselves. If you have a hero with 1 relic, then he has a certain power. And then if they have 2 relics, each relic gives 2 powers. And if you have 3 relics, each relic gives 3 powers. So that's what's going on there. Next up in the news was that Warhammer Citadel in Grapevine, Texas was not going to open June 9th like they originally had announced. And so that kind of sucks, and they basically realized this. And I tell you, this is why I'm talking about this, is because this, to me, emphasizes the new Games Workshop. Because they have decided what they're going to do is they know people did travel plans. They know people were going to come down there. We're all excited about it. and people can't necessarily get their travel plans changed. So what they're going to do is they're going to create a Warhammer weekend down in Dallas-Fort Worth area, right where they're at. And yeah, they're just going to have a 2-day Warhammer event where they're going to have Forge World items on sale, exclusive items on sale, featured theme tables that are going to be set up there. They're going to display the Warhammer Relics game, exclusive store merchandise, and they're going to actually have 2 official tournaments to play in. I don't know anything information about the tournaments, but keep tuned or keep your eyes out for that. But
you think this is when AOS 2.0 is going to launch? I think it is. I think they tried to line this big opening with this store up with AOS 2.0.
We know AOS 2 is going to be in June, so we're not really sure exactly when. But now that you mention it, I think that's probably a good bet.
I just thought of it too. So
yeah. The next little bit of news, no big deal, but they did, and this kind of goes into again, Games Workshop being customer friendly. They basically announced, well, they're not going to be totally customer friendly because they're going to announce that they're going to have a price increase on the Citadel brushes. It's about 40 cents a piece, which is kind of a nothing thing. But they went ahead and announced it, and they said they haven't given a date that it's going to happen, but announced it's going to happen. And if you wanted to stock up on brushes at the lower price,
yeah, it's probably a thing where I've heard other people talk about this. I guess I think what Citadel uses is like a halfway mix between like half synthetic, half some sable hair. So I would guess is I've heard that like the sable hair has gone up in like price. So it's probably like they're trying to keep their same like cost to profit ratio.
Right. But in the past, they would have just raised the price. They wouldn't have let people know. They would have just. So next up is I guess just kind of about a week ago, they released the FAQ for the Ideneth Deepkin. Mark, do you want to go over those?
Yeah. So the Ideneth Deepkin. Yeah. So the Ideneth Deepkin, we got the Achillean Leviathan. Got a little bit better. Its harpoon launcher changed the attacks to 6, which is a pretty good increase. It makes. Like before, I thought the Leviathan, I was like, oh, it's kind of underwhelming. It does, it's really more of a support thing. It doesn't have as much range as I would like. But with the increase attacks to 6, it does make it a little bit more of a powerhouse.
Right. And I guess the big thing was they said the harpoon launcher had 3 attacks, and there were 2 harpoon launchers on the model.
Right. Yeah.
We're like, how's it getting only 3 attacks? So each one is getting 3 attacks.
Correct. Yes.
Up for 6. And there was some question about like how they talked about like if you have 2 of the same weapon, you just add 1 attack. But anyway, so they clarified it is 6.
Yep. You got the Namarti Thralls, and the Reavers. This is going to be the same general concept here. So you change the first sentence to 1 in every 10 models can be a icon bearer, because before you could have 10 icon bearer. Every model could be an icon bearer, and if you bought a bunch of icon bearers or you bought a bunch of boxes for this, you should have seen this coming.
Shame on you, because you
shame on you. Yes,
it'll be happening.
But also shame on them for that should have just been in the original book. But yeah, I mean it's a good change.
So I don't exactly remember the thing, but it was like each
like the thing said like models in this unit can be icon bearers.
Yeah, models in this unit can be icon bearers, and an icon bearer can get an extra.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
What it was. And then there was a lot more in here, but I think the other one I kind of picked out to talk about was that basically pointing out that the Achillean Leviathan is a monster.
It doesn't benefit from its void gem.
Cover save.
Yep.
So they clarified that to make sure, but they also said they basically knew that, and that's why it has the save that it does.
Yep.
So moving on, we have all sorts of new edition rules. And the big thing that came out for the new edition, and I guess we'll go through kind of the rules and then some of the stuff that came out of the faction focuses.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, and if anybody actually is on and joined us, go ahead and chat and say hi. But yeah, so the new edition news are the priority is the big discussion item. Was one of the big discussion items. They had said they're going to change. People were wondering where they're going to have the double turn and how do you roll for initiative. Well, they haven't clarified how they're going to have
starting player
first turn yet, but they did clarify this priority for every other turn after the first turn, and it's going to happen like it did before, but previously. When there was a tie, you would re-roll. And so the person basically just re-roll until somebody won, and whoever won would choose who had the priority. And they're changing that rule now to where if you get a tie, then the tie
goes to the person who went first in the previous battle round, yes.
Is going to win the roll. And so, assuming that the person who wins the roll is going to take the initiative, I can see where they might not, but if they do, this is just a very small tweak to that rule to see where you're going to see less of a double turn. So, like in the current rule set, right, you'd have a 50-50 of getting a double turn if you were going second, or a 50-50 of maintaining the turn order. So now you have a what?
40 and 60.
What's
40,
that?
42 and 58.
Yeah, you have like a 1 in 6 chance of getting a tie, and a tie stays with the person. So
yeah, 1 in 6 chance getting a tie. It boils down to it's an 8% difference because you have a 1 in 6 chance of getting a tie, and then half of the tie is 8. It comes down to 8%.
Time the tie, the other guy would win. So you win. Yeah.
So 8%.
Yeah. So it goes up. What 58-42 is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, 58-42. Yeah.
58% of the time, the turn order would stay the same if you chose to do that. And so that's I think it's good.
I don't think it's too substantial, honestly.
Yeah, I honestly not sure if I remember, like when we went to Adepticon. I don't know if I actually ever had a tie on initiative, but
I did. I rolled a 1, and then the other guy rolled a 1.
Okay,
it was nice.
So I think that I like the change. I like less of a chance of a double turn, and maybe if you're set up strategically well, you could go ahead and take the turn, or let the guy take the turn, and then giving yourself a chance for the double turn next time. Although for the most part, because the chances it's going to stay the same, I think you're going to always take the action once you get going into the game. So, the other big thing was command abilities, and they talked about command abilities and command points. And what do you got? You got they basically had said every hero is going to be able to use their command abilities. And really what they came out with is that you're going to have possible for every hero to use their command ability. And so every hero is going to have his command ability usable, and you have a new resource called command points. And so you can use this resource called the command point. So every turn you can use 1 or more command points. You don't have to use them. Zero to N, if you have N command points. And you can spend all of them or none of them and activate command abilities on your guys. And so this is kind of interesting because basically you may choose to not activate your general's command ability and have a different hero, which maybe have a better situation at the time. And I'm looking over to my notes because I have somewhere here, and maybe I lost it. There were some new command abilities, and I don't seem to be able to find them. But they basically had, here they are. They basically had every hero has access to these command abilities. And it is an inspiring presence.
Works kind of the same way it did in the previous.
Kind of, but not quite. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can share my screen here. Screen share. This one. Share. Okay. Okay. So our command ability is it's flickering on me. Is it on you?
Yes.
Okay.
There it goes.
Okay. Do I need to lock it? Okay. So our command ability, the Inspiring Presence. You can use this command ability at the start of the battle shock phase. If you do so, pick a friendly unit that is within 6 inches of a friendly hero, or 12 inches of a friendly hero that is your general, and that unit doesn't have to take battle shock. And so that's the same but different in the sense that it used to be right. You did that during the command phase, but this command ability you use at the start of battle shock phase, so you can know which of your units is in trouble, and then you pop that command ability.
You can use it at the start of the battle shock phase of either phase.
Right. Now, didn't it go through the whole turn though, until your next phase? So now your Inspiring Presence, is it shorter than it used to be? I don't remember.
I believe it was only on yours.
Yeah, okay. Probably only on yours. Another command ability they give you that everybody has is basically at the double, and you can use a command point to after you make a run roll for your friendly unit that is within 6 inches of a friendly hero or 12 of a friendly hero that is your general, and treat that run roll as a 6. So good for the slow pokes like Nurgle.
Nurgle's got Feculent Armor. They're not actually slow. It's all a lie.
Yeah, it's all. I'm all good for my skeletons or something. I don't know.
It's a ruse.
Forward to Victory. You can use this command ability after you make a charge roll for a friendly unit that is within 6 inches of a friendly hero, or 12 of a friendly hero that is a general. So this is a theme: the 6 of a hero or 12 of a general. If you do so, you can re-roll the charge roll. So this is kind of huge. It saves you from the I roll and I get the snake eyes, and so I fail my 3-inch charge.
I actually really like that they're making like some of these command abilities almost like I kind of relate them to like instants and Magic the Gathering. Like you don't use them in your hero phase. You use them when you need them.
Right. So I do like that. And so those are the ones that they've talked about. Now, obviously, you're going to have any command ability that's on your hero sheets available. So how do you get these command points? This is the one thing. It seems like this is going to be a very limited resource, at least as far as we know now. You're going to get one every turn on your hero phase, and then you're going to get an additional one per battalion that you have.
Only at the beginning of the game.
At the beginning of the game, correct. Good thing. Good point out there. So if you had a battalion or 2 battalions in your thing, you're going to get, if you had a battalion, you're going to get one at the beginning of the game, and then at the beginning of your turn, you're going to get an additional one. So you don't have to use those every turn, and then you can actually build up and have more than one available. And then, as they talk about later, you can get some really interesting hero command combos going. I almost think there's going to be another way to get command points than this, though, because
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Though they talk later on, they talk about like a 3 command point combo for something.
Yeah, you wait. You got on turn 2. You can do that. You've got one on your turn, so you've had 2 turns. Generally on turn 1, the command thing you're doing is like not as impactful as. I don't know. So you've got 2 turns of build up and a battalion to have or something like that.
Right. What do you think of the battalion command point? I mean, if they,
it's kind of like every battalion gets an artifact. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll change that too or something where It just seems like battalions are getting more important with this, because if you can, like, with some of these units, you probably can. I haven't really gone like too in depth and looked at like tried to like meta anything, but like I'm sure there's some crazy combos you can get.
And so I'm wondering if this is going to help justify some of the command or like the Ideneth battalions. You know, their costs obviously they are probably built in to this rule set, and so maybe that's why they're cost.
Yeah, they said the Magican of Nurgle thing was, that book was designed with the new system involved. So I mean, obviously the Ideneth one was as well.
Right. So we'll get into that when we get down to their preview of the Nurgle.
But I think you'll be seeing some battalions change in points, and it kind of makes the like one drop thing less good if these command points are. We still don't know how the first turn thing happens, but we'll see if more battalion, like one big battalion isn't as good as like 3 battalions type thing.
Right. And so, you know, I think you mentioned the one drop when, you know, that I think that they're probably not going to have the first person who gets started deploying first go first. I think that it's going to be, or
I think they'll pull a 40K.
Yeah, and by
plus
that,
one.
What is that again?
+1. You use first person to get done deploying gets a +1 to the starting roll at the start of the game.
And then they can determine if they win who goes first.
Yeah, use determine who goes first.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the way it's going to go. So your battalion will be useful in that, but not near as essential. But now these command points are making them really, really important. And I would expect some of the older, smaller command point battalions to actually increase in points.
Yeah, it's possible.
But like your Ideneth, the little one of your command set circle, the one
Royal Council,
models, the Royal thing, I could see you taking that all the time now.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean the one extra command point I think is actually going to be pretty useful.
Yeah, but it's like you said, it's only one. It's not one a turn.
Right.
So, they came out with a rule today, and I'm going to actually just try and share my screen for it here. Boop. The Lookout Sir. I'll just go ahead and read it. It says, the Lookout Sir, you must subtract 1 from hit rolls made for missile weapons if the target of the attack is an enemy hero that is within 3 inches of an enemy unit that has 3 or more models. The Lookout Sir rule does not apply if the hero is a monster. You can see my little note here. What do you think of it, Mark?
I personally don't like it. I guess it says it doesn't apply if the hero is a monster, but I mean, there's like some heroes that aren't monsters that have a billion wounds, kind of like the Eidolon of Mathlin. And I don't think the Eidolon of Mathlin, I mean, that's not the best whatever, because it's Ideneth and you have to shoot the closest thing anyway, but just using it as a big hero with a lot of wounds, it doesn't need another built-in thing to help it survive.
Right. So like Morathi, for example, right?
Yeah.
In her non-monster form would have an additional 1. And if she's on terrain, right? Or if she, you know, that in cover, another 1. So
I think they would have been better off making this actually a command ability, and or making it for heroes with 5 wounds or less.
5 wounds or less, right. So
you can kind of save your 100-point heroes from getting sniped off at the beginning of the game. But you're not going to be like, I mean, your super big guys generally aren't going to get sniped off at the beginning anyway. So,
with that being said, so like what Mr. Tomb King Cetra's only got 8 wounds, so this is going to keep him. I mean, not everything. Certainly, I think they're going away anyway, so that's not a good example. But I think there are, like you said, there's going to be heroes that are not monsters that they're going to be able to get cover. They're going to have a lot of wounds to begin with. They're going to get cover, and they're going to have this rule protecting them. And it's going to be really hard to shoot them.
Or they could have said, you don't benefit from cover. If you have a lookout, sir, you don't. You can if you benefit from cover, you don't get a lookout, sir.
Maybe that's still there. We don't know. I just think a -2 is going to be a huge thing.
Yeah, I mean, also it could just I think we're gonna be seeing a restructuring of points. Shooting units are gonna get worse. They're gonna be less points. So who knows?
And so basically, I had that little note there that people might have saw, and I think that this means that your 5-wound wizard just got so much more powerful, because as you notice here, it's only shooting. It's not magic. So spells, you can sniping away heroes with spells just became that much more important.
Yeah. Yay, more buffs for Zinj.
Yeah, it gets better. I mean, no, seriously though, isn't that kind of what's going on? I mean, the mystic, the arcane blitz or whatever is gonna just be that much more important. It's gonna be able to shoot people at a distance, do damage, and not be affected by this rule.
Yeah, I think
not serve for magic as far as we know yet.
Yeah, I don't think there ever will be. Yeah, I think just wizards in this edition are getting better. Heroes in general just getting better with the 3 command abilities that any hero can use.
Right, and it seems like we joke about it being a move toward Hero Hammer.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it's necessarily a bad change though, but I do think I don't know if they needed this.
Right.
I think now they really haven't gone into what it means to shoot out of combat yet, but I think that could have just been all they did, and it would have been decent. It would have been just a little bit better, and that's
right. So now basically your shooting units are going to not be able to shoot out of combat, or we don't know exactly what that is, but somehow they're not going to. If they're engaged in combat, they're probably going to have to shoot the closest guy, or they're going to have to shoot to the guy that they're engaged with, or something like that. So your wizard hanging out in back is not going to be able to be shot at all.
In short, shooting got worse.
Unless you're Storm Vermin, right?
Scryer.
Right. So Clan
Storm Vermin.
They're just
Storm Fiends.
Storm Fiends, because they're the whatever.
I will unleash the dreaded 13th upon you if you call them Storm Vermin one more time.
All right. So what was the rule of what's their?
I mean, they just auto hit, right? They don't with their warp fire projectors. They just auto.
Yeah, warp fire projectors just auto hit and auto mortal wounds. So yeah, that was really brutal. So kind of going into a little bit of the faction focus. They did last week. If I can lock on me, is there a way to do that? Me, present everyone. I don't know. Anyway, so we got the faction focus, and that is the for Stormcast. The one thing they did talk about was the Knight Incantor. If you missed our show last week, this is kind of their new War Scroll format. It's pretty cool. They got the gear here.
It seems more compact. If you look at all the other War Scrolls, there's like this giant space. Oh, there you go. You're locked on. You know. There's just this like giant space of crap, of just blank space, right. Unused space that doesn't need to be there. It's like, I get you guys don't want to change the text like size to, like, you want to have cohesive thing, but this just seems better. Hopefully it's all like this.
Right. And so this kind of looks, like we said, looks more almost like a trading card setup. Although if it was a trading card, I'm not going to be able to read it. But yeah, for their cards that they had a lot of blank space on them, and so this is here. But hey, just talking about this person, this Knight Incantor, i.e. the Knight Self-Destructor, right? Or the terrorist.
He can take wounds.
The guys that blows themselves up.
Yeah.
So basically, once per battle, to start a combat phase, you can say this model will shatter 1, 2, or 3 spirit flasks. Each unit within 3 inches of the model suffers a mortal wound for each spirit flask was shattered, and that includes this Knight Incantor model. So it's the runs into the middle of a bunch of units and blows itself up, and then.
What are these? What is this? Skaven slave technology?
Yeah, I was going to say, it just seems kind of odd that they would have that.
But who cares if they die, right? Stormcast would be the perfect terrorist.
Right.
They die.
They are. They
come back.
Die and they get reforged. So,
but thing to note, this is all units, not just all units.
It's not just enemy units.
So that's a thing.
And the other thing that's really seemingly important here is they basically have welcome to the return of the Dispel Scroll. In 8th edition, you had a Dispel Scroll where you could buy for your character. But yeah, basically this one, hey, I'm just going to use this scroll and automatically unbind a spell instead of having to roll. So that's pretty good. Looks like a pretty powerful unit. Again, we don't know points or anything, so that. Moving on, I guess. Don't know if I can switch back to me, whatever, but we can just show it here. Slaves to Darkness. They did a focus, and basically they want things that came out of that, things that I felt were important that came out of that, were that the War Shrine cost was going down.
Which is great, because that model is sweet.
Right. Trying to get to where it goes back to my picture profile.
Oh, okay, dog.
Not that. Okay, so basically, again, with the command ability, people were wondering about Archaon's command ability. And they basically were saying that that command ability is going to stay the same. Activating his command ability allows others to immediately, and you can look at my spelling mistake there, use them in the order of your choice. So I'm assuming that that is, so you command point with him, and then you're going to go ahead and all your guys are going to fire off in the order you want. And then if you had extra command points, you could probably fire one of them off again.
Sidebar on the left, by the way, for the screen sharing. The green arrow.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
So, yeah, the War Shrine cost was going down, which is a sweet model. And I was looking at taking that in my Nurgle Moral Unit Force, but it's kind of random, and at the cost it was, it didn't seem like it was quite worth it.
Just not. It's just not. It's good, but it's not good enough.
Right. So yeah, I guess with the command point, the way they mentioned this, I was just going to say that I thought Cetra or the Tomb King on Exalted Chariot would probably work this way too. And they said that Archaon and the Varangard costs are going to go down.
Yes.
So next up on the faction focus, they had Fire Slayers. And they were emphasizing in there that Fire Slayers have 10 heroes in their army. And they'll be able to create interesting combos with the new command point system. And basically that in the new edition, I guess it's going to be in the General's Handbook, This army will be able to choose from a huge list of options designed to represent strange relics, weapons, and trinkets unique to them. And some of these are very thematic and offer a selection for people who love customization. And now I'm going to try and share my screen again. And you can see basically two of the things that they showed. So they got these Magmadroth blood vials. So in your shooting phase, you can pick an enemy within 8 inches of the bearer of the roll and roll a die on a 4+. That unit suffers a mortal wound. So basically, if you, but it's going to be on a unit, and it's not going to be a shooting rule, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but it's just going to be on a unit.
I mean, it's free, but it's medium.
Right. And right, there's going to be so many more artifacts that you're probably going to take. But the essence of Volcatrix, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Volcatrix is some dwarves are going to writing my name down in their grudges right now. Once per battle at the start of your hero phase, the bearer may drink the essence, and if they do, roll a die. On a 1, he suffers a D3 mortal wounds. On a 2+, add 1 to hit and wound rolls for the bearer until your next hero phase.
I think that's pretty good. Like, I think the Magmadroth and it's just like they just need something. Like the Magmadroth is kind of laughably bad sometimes, I feel like.
The Magmadroth, I don't remember what that is though.
The dragon looking thingy.
Okay. So yeah, that's basically it for the dwarves that they said. Again, they were focusing on the fact that there's 10 heroes and there's going to be a lot of command abilities firing off on them.
Is there though? You only get 1 every turn, and
right. That's what I was just saying. That's why I was wondering if there's going to be more of a way to get more than 1 command point.
Yeah, I wonder if there's going to be like a relic or an artifact that gives you that would be a really good artifact.
Or maybe they have what is it when a what's the command ability or the whole general army rule? It's like death has if you're within 6 of a.
Oh sure, right. Yeah, I know what you're talking. Like allegiance ability type thing.
Yeah, an allegiance ability. Maybe they'll have an allegiance ability for these guys, but they haven't announced that. We're just speculating.
We will see.
We're speculating. This is all. We're only talking about what we've seen here. Iron Jaws. Basically, the only thing we really saw on Iron Jaws was that they said there was a variety of tweak to the points,
which they need.
Basically, their point cost is going to be going down.
I have Iron Jaws army. For those the people that don't know, I don't really play it much because it's kind of not that great. Maw Crusher.
I'd argue with you about that, but I think you just have you don't have enough to be big smash face. You just got kind of like the 1,000 points type thing or something.
Yeah, the Maw Crusher is just too high costed, and so it looks like they said they will be dropping the points for the Maw Crusher. Also, the Ard Boys will see a drop in points, which I personally don't care about as much because I don't like their sculpts, and I would rather just play masses of brutes because those are sweet looking.
Right. So next up on their thing was the hosts of Slaanesh, and they talk about the allegiance ability as being modified on this. And go ahead and share here. Maybe I'm getting like an expert at this.
What a weird ability this is.
Yeah, and I don't quite know if I understand. You can even see my note here about what does this mean. But we'll go ahead and just cut that off here. And so the Invaders allegiance ability, an Invaders host can have up to 3 generals rather than only 1. Only one of the generals, your choice, can have a command trait, but all are considered to be a general when you use a command ability. However, the generals cannot use a command trait or be chosen as a model from which a command ability is measured while they're within 12 of another general. Really weird. And so what does this mean? They basically talked about
well, this is good for the the inspiring presence, the at the double, and the forward to victory thing for if you're within 12 inches of 6 inches of a friendly hero, 12 inches of a friendly hero that is your general.
Right. So does it mean that when you spend a command point and you use a command trait on one of your guys, all three of them are going to get that? And the reason I say that is because in their article talk.
No, you get a command. One guy gets the command trait and that's it. So like, if you pick the command trait, I don't know what their command traits are, but if you could pick the command trait that said your general gets an additional wound, only one of the three generals you picked will get an additional wound. All
right, but look at their. I don't know if you read their thing, but they basically said piling in and attacking twice with one unit is powerful. With 2, 3, or even 4, you'll be able to quickly swing games in your favor with unstoppable hail of attacks. A large unit of Hellstriders with Claw Spears backed up by a Lord of Slaanesh on Demonic Mount would be a great choice. So the Lord of Slaanesh on Demonic Mount has a command ability that lets him pick a unit, and that unit can get attacked twice, can pile in and attack twice. And so it almost to me implies that if you have 3 generals, this guy is going to be able to trigger this effect on the other 2 generals, and you're going to get 3 guys attacking twice. I really don't know. I guess we'll have to read.
I'd have to see. I don't know that much about Slaanesh. I'd have to see more of this stuff. Honestly, I didn't.
Right. So this was a question. So
anyone who has an idea, drop a comment down below.
Drop me a note. Let me know what they're talking about here. And then the other thing is 2 other things here that came out during this article was there is going to be a new summoning system called depravity points. Depravity points. You're able to summon without spending reinforcement points, and that's huge. And you're going to score 1 for every wound your hero inflicts on a foe, spelled F-O-E, without killing them, and every non-fatal wound your hero receives. So there's no information now for how these points are spent, but it's going to be a lot, I would assume, a lot like the Maggotkin of Nurgle book, where you're going to build up, you build up so many points, or Khorne, you build up so many points, then you spend those points, you're going to be able to summon a unit. The interesting thing here is Nurgle, the only thing you could summon for 0 points was the Gnarl Maul. But I wonder if that's going to be changed because of this. They said that this other thing here is they're not.
The Gnarl Maul is 7 points, I thought.
Correct, but the Gnarl Maul is the only thing that causes 0
I see what you're saying.
Reinforcement points.
Right.
You summon Nurglings or whatever, you have to reserve reinforcement points on them. In their article, they said a major hint for other. I said this is a major hint for other factions because they say they're not the only faction to receive summoning changes either.
Well, we see in your note right below, Battletome Maggotkin of Nurgle was designed with a new edition in mind, so that it sounds like you'll be able to summon just, even though you're summoning a weird number of, because I know they're not even full units.
Right.
That kind of makes sense why they're not full units.
Right.
You're not spending.
It was like, why would you do it? Why would I summon and pay a full?
Right. Exactly.
I could get half a unit of Nurglings and have to pay as many command points or reinforcement points as a full unit of Nurglings.
Correct.
Yeah. Now, I think it's kind of a hint that those things are not going to cost reinforcement points from now on.
Yeah, I think so.
But who knows? Yeah. So the Maggotkin of Nurgle. I'm going to turn my share off.
Are you still locked on you? Just quick.
No.
Okay.
The Maggotkin of Nurgle, and one of these days, we're only 6 weeks into this, and I'm getting closer to understanding how this all works. So the Maggotkin of Nurgle was designed to work with the new edition. It's even got the new logo on the cover. Interesting, whatever that meant. So I know that I didn't really realize before there was a new logo, but I know Vince at Warhammer Weekly did, and he said he knew that the we were in for major changes when they changed the logo. From a marketing perspective, that's a huge deal. And it says you'll find the new rules bring a lot of benefits to the Nurgle army from the Lookout server, because again, they had a lot of 5-point heroes and stuff, and people like Festus are really
five wound.
What's that?
5 wound.
5 wounds. 5 wound heroes. Did I say points?
Yeah.
Yeah, but even Festus, for example, was susceptible to being sniped. They said, and to command points to some exciting and major changes we haven't looked at yet. And so more coming, I guess, is the news there. But they point out a triple combo of command points that made things pretty nasty. And it basically was that you got you could have your Puscoil Spearhead of Contagion, which is the Blight King, Puscoil Blight King, I guess. Puscoil Blight Lord, I guess. If you have him be your general, he can use his ability, pick a friendly Puscoil Blight Lord in 14 inches and add 8 to the move characteristic. You can use the Plague of Flies ability and pick any friendly Nurgle within 20 inches of that one and subtract 1 from hit rolls of attacks that target that unit.
21 inches. Everything's in units of 7 with Nurgle. Come on.
Right. Well, if the unit, yeah. And then Lords of Nurgle uses command ability in your hero phase. You can add 1 to the attack characteristics of any model within 14 inches of him. So there you go. So basically, my point is, it's like you're going to basically add 8 inches to the move. You're gonna make him a boss. Yeah, you're gonna make this one unit just of flies, Puscoil Blight Lords, really rock, because it's good. They're gonna be like fly. Well, they're 10 inches now, right? So they're gonna be like 18 inches of moves. They're gonna not.
I think they're 8. I think they're 8 inches.
Oh, 8. So 8 and 8 is 16, and they're not going to be able to be shot, and they're just going to get extra attacks. So that's pretty brutal. And then they go on to mention the Emerald Life Swarm is one of the new endless spells. But rather than killing your enemies, this power heals your forces, a great boon to already resilient armies such as Maggotkin.
All the heals for Maggotkin.
What's that?
All they do is heal.
Right.
He's never killable. So,
and the endless spells are the things that they talked about last week, and that are malign sorcery, I guess, is what they called that thing. And so I got a little bit. We called it an endless spells preview. I can share it here.
We got the Pac-Man of Death.
The Pac-Man of Death, yeah. So this guy, the Ravening Hunger. And this was shown in the Destruction preview. And so my little note here is this the Destruction spell only?
I would guess. Yes, it is.
So what do these gigantic Pac-Man jaws do? Quite a lot of damage, it says. And so here's the Ravening Hunger. After this model has moved, each unit that has any models it passed across and each other unit that is within 1 inch of it at the end of its move suffers a D3 mortal wounds. In addition, subtract 1 bravery for each unit that has any models that passed across until the end of the battle round. So it's going to be a bravery bomb and a mortal wound bomb.
This is my favorite looking one, but I think it'll be easy to play around.
It'll be what?
Easy to play around.
It all depends on how this thing moves.
I mean, if it moves like 30 inches,
if it
sure.
moves like a straight line, yeah. If it moves,
I think it'll move. I think it'll have the old like Doom Wheel movement, like 3d6 or something.
I think it'll be like movement for the what are the flyers for? Is it Zinch? You know the Zinch flyers that have the flyby, they can fly over you.
Right, yeah.
So much movement, and whoever they move over, it attacks.
Yeah, I can see that. But I still feel like it could be easy to play around.
It could be, yeah.
If you spread your guys out far enough, but who knows?
Right. And so that's the news that we have.
Yeah.
So, how far are we into this? 9:50?
About an hour.
Almost an hour. So, I guess what have we should actually go into the other part of the show. What have we been working on? Mark's been working on work and school.
Yeah.
Hasn't really been able to dig much into to things.
I've had lots of nursing clinicals and lots of tests and stuff, and that's what I've been doing.
So, focus here. So
there it goes.
Yeah. So I did some Tomb King carrying and basing for them.
Thank you, Vince.
Actually, what? Thank you. Yeah.
So thank you, Vince.
Like, you really need to get these things built. You see another one here, and you can actually see that there's a horse head put on the skeletal horse head because I had my carrion that I had acquired was missing a head. And all this is leading up to my last charge of the Tomb Kings, because I really think that the Tomb Kings are going to head toward Legacy, and I'm going to run them for one final time at NashCon. So we got our got a Tomb King with shield that I put together here. Will it focus? I don't know.
There you go. That's a good picture.
Except you talked, so. Okay, so we had him. And then the other guy I worked on, and I got the airbrush going to base this guy a little bit. And we got the festering gnarl maul for my Nurgle. And I got the Glotkin out and airbrushed him with the base coat. And so this guy really went together and put together fast. I didn't do the bells on him, but I was amazed how fast this model painted up.
I'm hoping my Gloomtide goes pretty quickly too. That's what I should be working on. Just some.
Right. Yeah, and that's really what we were going to try and say. And we'll talk more maybe next week about what we're doing or what to be doing between editions. I know I'm preparing for NashCon, so it's kind of not the normal. But what, like, what you don't want to, I guess I wouldn't want to be starting an army right now because I'm not sure what the rules are going to have, what's going to happen. And of course, the last time I did this 8th edition was, we knew it was ending. We didn't know what was going to happen. We knew 9th was coming out, or what we thought was going to be 9th. And the whole end times, and I thought that's when I kind of really decided that the Tomb Kings were something I wanted to try and do. And so that was really a bad choice. But don't worry about that now, because they did announce all of the battle tomes are gonna be supported. So everything that's out battle tome wise now is gonna be supported.
We just don't know what the implications of the rules are gonna have on points, and what models are gonna get buffs and what models are gonna get nerfs. So if you go paint this one model you think is really sweet, and then turns out, oh no, its new rules are not as great because X, Y, and Z has changed, you could be a little bummed, and you might have wanted to spend your time doing something else. So that's why I think we were
talking earlier, like the Chaos model. What is it? The Jabberslife? Is that it?
Jabberslife, yeah.
Really a good model right now for the points, but I wouldn't be buying one right now, just because if I like the model and I like what it does, I think it's going to do the same thing. And so if I did that, I would buy it, but I wouldn't buy it just because its cost is so good for what it does. I guess.
Well, it's got a missile weapon, right? I mean, so who knows? Shooting got worse, so they could just
an 8-inch missile weapon.
Right. I mean, they could just say, oh, it's going to stay the same because shooting got worse. It's undercosted, but parts of it got a little worse. Who knows?
So yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I wouldn't necessarily go out and buy a model that I think it's gonna, with the general handbook coming out in a month. I think I'm holding off on anything that I think is like, oh, this is a really good model point wise.
We know the plastic crack is real, and it's a tough addiction. We just hold off for 2 weeks.
Right. So what do you do in the meantime? So, just a short version of the show here is, I think, well, this guy here is kind of the perfect example, and Mark kind of alluded to it too. It's really probably a really good time to be, building your terrain table or building up your terrain that you have. If you're like us, we got a lot of terrain and it's not necessarily painted up to what it should be. Or we got trees that don't have leaves on them, or things that have been, used for a couple years and are really just showing their age and or lack of paint quality.
Yeah.
And so this is probably a good time if you're stuck and you're waiting between the two the two editions here. Take a look at your terrain. You may want to go and grab some of the terrain that's out now. We know the Garden of Moor, for example, from
Sigmarite Mausoleum.
Sorry, the Sigmarite Mausoleum, which is 2 Gardens of Moor, is really a
nice
really good buy. And I think especially with the new Nighthaunt model release coming out, if you're going to jump on that, maybe you want to jump on the
you're going to want some spooky terrain to go with it.
Right. So that'll be my suggestion for people that are looking at that. The other thing that you can do is Shadespire. Again, we talked about that. There's what, 5 or 6 factions or so, or even more for Shadespire, and you can get those models and paint them up, and they kind of give you a break from maybe your main army, and they're nice to give you that break. Plus, there are war scrolls for them, and so I know, like the undead one, I painted them up, and there's a war scroll, and I would definitely be able to use that in an undead army. And as they mentioned,
and those all probably were designed with the new edition in mind as well.
Right. So. And the Skaven guy, the Skaven commander, is really nice. You should take a look at him if you play rats. And he will definitely be somebody.
Probably not, because you should honestly just be playing Scryer.
Oh, well, yeah, well, who knows? With the new versions and stuff, maybe the rats will be fixed more than they are now. And I guess that's it. So yeah, take a look at the terrain that you have on your table. Think about what armies are going to be played in the future, and maybe kind of work your terrain more toward that while you're kind of deciding what to do. I mean, if you're on the Idoneth bandwagon like Mark is, well, you know where you're going. I know I'm doing Maggotkin, and basically
that's also fine.
Also fine. But if you're just unsure, maybe look at the terrain.
A fun thing that I like to do, and this isn't, I've never had to do this with like this particular like Warhammer, but I know when like a new World of Warcraft was coming up, I used to like to read up on the lore. Maybe that could just entertain your Age of Sigmar itch for a bit. Go read an Age of Sigmar book. I personally hate reading actual books, so I've never done it, but I've heard they're quite good.
So yeah, and there's a lot on Audible, and the Warhammer has a lot of audio books that they've done. And so the other thing I can recommend with your reading is the Malign Portents. There's a ton of short stories.
Yeah, those are good for me since I'm not a...
Those are just, little one-offs, and you may want to go catch up on those. And I'm sure those are going to be cooking into this thing. I really think I heard a rumor, and I'm not really sure about it, but this Age of Sigmar 2.0 is really maybe even subtitled The War of the Souls. And that is because so much of this stuff seems to be around people gathering souls. You got the Idoneth gathering souls for themselves. Got Nagash upset that everybody's stealing souls from him because they're supposed to be coming to the realm of the undead. You got Sigmar reforging them. You got Marathi stealing her amount for the Daughters of Cain. And so I just think that's kind of where it's headed. It seems like the lore is headed to this War of the Souls.
Speaking of rumors, now I don't know if this is true or not. It's a rumor. The rumor mill, I guess, is that Slaanesh is coming out later this year with a new Keeper of Secrets model, a resculpt of the Forest Riders, I believe, and a couple other stuff. And if you saw the rumor engine, well, I think we know that's right. Something Slaanesh related.
Definitely was like one of those Slaaneshi claws.
Yeah, it was a crab person for real.
And so those were pretty. Yeah, and in the Slaanesh preview or faction focus, they actually laid out where Slaanesh is captured. So go check out Warhammer Community if you're interested in the Slaanesh lore. And they talk about where he's at, where he's captured, and where he's being.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they did like Ironjaws are a pretty new faction. Slaanesh is not a new faction. You know what I mean?
They've had him being captured, and I wonder how that's going to work out for your Great Horned Rat, who was moved into Slaanesh's spot when Slaanesh comes back.
The Great Horned Rat is obviously way more powerful than Slaanesh.
Right.
That's not true.
All right, so that's going to be it for this week. We'll put the schedule out for next week. We're going to try and stick with a certain set time. I know that
it's hard for me because I work a lot on the weekends, so it's either going to be Saturday or Sunday.
Right. We'll try and get the show out Saturday or Sunday, but if we get it out a different day, we'll let people know. And that's it for now. Mark, do you have anything else to add before we go?
Nope. I think we got everything summed up pretty well.
All right. So that's it for this week. We'll see you next week. Couple things. My Twitter handle, you probably know, is at the Dice Must Flow. And we have a Facebook page, The Dice Must Flow, so that either of those are a way to contact me. Mark, do you have...
I don't have Twitter. I hate Twitter.
You don't have Twitter yet, or he had Twitter, but he doesn't have it anymore. So yeah, that's probably just the best way to deal with this, and we'll go from there. So again, I'm Greg, and that's Mark.
Yep. If you ever need me, just Age of Sigmar Fan Network or something, you can just tag me, Mark Decals. I'm always on there. Yeah. All right.
So that's
see you guys.
We will see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.